Hey everybody, happy holidays, happy new year. We made it through 2018.
Woo.
Do you even remember that there was an Olympics this year? Black Panther came out this year. A whole bunch of shit happened this year. And we're about to tell you the top 10 worst things the Democratic Party did this year. But first, we're gonna drink up. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Number 10.
Number 10, judges. So while everyone was concentrating on Brett Kavanaugh and the debacle and the beer me controversies.
Squee.
With squee. We were not concentrating on what Chuck Schumer and the Dems were doing, allowing 15 lifetime judicial appointments that Trump chose so that embattled Democrats can run home and campaign for their elections in November. This was an absolute disgrace, and although some people speculated that the results would have been the same, it was indicative of their lack of will to fight. So now Trump has appointed 84 judges in 2 years, as well as 2 Supreme Court judges, which is just unacceptable.
Number 9.
Number 9.
We have the announcement. Get ready, everybody. 2020 is coming, and our next fucking presidential election is here on our doorstep, and we're about to have guess what? The best sequel you've never wanted. Biden, Clinton, and even Bernie are all sort of doing their exploratory committees on how they're going to run in 2020, and that's exactly what we need, is a replay of what happened in 2020. The people who voted for Trump became more entrenched over the last 2 years than they were before. So I don't think it's going to play out any better. In fact, the other day Biden said anybody can beat Trump. And that's the kind of arrogance that I think is going to ensure that the Democrats lose again. So if they really want to have a viable candidacy, they need to look to somebody different. As much as I love Bernie, I don't think he should be he should run, or at least, this ticket should not have 2 old white people again. It's not where our country's directed. I don't personally want Beto O'Rourke, who took plenty of money from the energy industry or the oil industry in Texas. There aren't a lot of people out there that I think, you can really trust and can really speak to that progressive base, and certainly the Democratic Party is not trying to exalt them. Number 8.
Number 8, we have Maloney's Women's Issues Town Hall in Williamsburg, which actually just happened in November. And this one's a little personal for me. So on the same day as this town hall, news broke that she got $4,000 from Amazon. So that was pretty indicative that they knew what was coming. So I confronted Maloney. I asked her why she decided to support Amazon, and she gave a very, very long-winded answer about how it's super easy to organize and defeat this.
Real easy. Very
easy. And if all else fails, she, quote, told us to burn it down.
So if Cuomo is Amazon Cuomo, she is Antifa Maloney. Right?
Antifa Maloney. Yeah, so let's see if she goes and gets arrested for arson alongside with us.
I'll see you out there, comrade. I'll let you hold the can of gasoline. Number 7, we have Amazon again, because we just fucking love Jeff Bezos so much. So Cuomo and de Blasio, our respective governor and mayor of New York City, they don't agree on much. In fact, they have a long-running feud. They won't agree on how much funding they should give to the MTA, like who should control the schools, but they do agree on one thing. They agree that Amazon's great, and jobs, 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 and we're gonna have so many jobs when Amazon gets here, and they're fucking John Kasich all of a sudden. Jobs, jobs, jobs.
Jobs, jobs, jobs.
Jobs, jobs, jobs. Jobs, jobs, jobs. Jobs, 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 jobs. So we just love jobs so much, even though those jobs, historically, you go to Seattle, you look at all those people who got hired, all those people were from out of state. They were recent graduates. This didn't give anything to the community. It just bumped the property prices up, which was great for most of these donors to the Cuomo and de Blasio campaigns now and certainly in the future in real estate. They're giving away our money, and they agree on this thing for the first time. Meanwhile, our MTA is still in shambles. Pizza Rat is still out there uncaught with all this money that might be given away without going through the legislature. Robert Mujica, if you're listening to me, go through the legislature.
Yes.
Do the right thing. Number 6.
Number 6, we have Julia Salazar and her victory in North Brooklyn against the Democratic machine. So we had the Democratic machine come out in spades to support Vito Lopez's protege, Martin Dillon, who has been entrenched in his seat and who has done nothing for the community and for common people. And while there were problematic elements about some of Julia's personal narrative...
She claimed she was poor. She claimed her family didn't go to college. She claimed she was never a pro-life activist who was like wildly like all over the news.
Right, and there are definitely problems in saying one thing and having a very different life story. However, what really I think sold people and what people really got behind were her policies, and policies that benefit the common man, the working man in North Brooklyn is something that has been completely missing from our local politics. And for that, I really do have to give her a props up. She had an amazing victory, and it was a good day for progressives and for democratic socialists.
Now let's just make sure we hold her accountable every damn day.
Absolutely.
Number 5, the Chuck Schumer Town Hall No-Show Showdown 2016-2018 edition.
Right, so Chuck Schumer was supposed to come to a town hall in Brooklyn organized by Indivisible New York, and his plane got stuck in Utica, so he was not able to come. While people were stuck in a very hot synagogue waiting for Chuck to show up, he decided to have a teleconference where this 1.5 hour phone call was supposed to be a chance for him to hear from his constituents. And instead he spoke for over an hour about his life story and about what makes him a pragmatic progressive. Now, that's a term that really irks me because not only is it not pragmatic to have incremental change in the face of tyranny, but it's incredibly pointless to try and usurp that term and pervert its meaning.
So Chuck comes up again at number 4. There was a well-televised, well-documented 15-minute weirdo sit-down between the president, Schumer, and Pelosi.
The fact is, you do not have the votes in the House.
Nancy, I do. And we need border security.
Nancy, we'll find out.
Nancy, we need border security. It's very simple.
Of course we do.
We need border security.
We do.
People are pouring into our country, including terrorists. We have terrorists. We caught 10 terrorists over the last very short period of time. 10. We need the wall. We need, more important than anything, we need border security, of which the wall is just a piece. But it's important. Chuck, did you want to say something?
Here's what I want to say. We have a lot of disagreements here. The Washington Post today gave you a whole lot of Pinocchios because they say you constantly misstate how much the wall is built, how much of the wall is built, and how much is there. But that's not the point here. We have a disagreement about the wall, whether it's effective or not. Not on border security, but on the wall. We do not want to shut down the government. You were called 20 times to shut down the government. You say, I want to shut down the government. We don't. We want to come to an agreement. If we can't come to an agreement, we have solutions that will pass the House and Senate right now and will not shut down the government, and that's what we're urging you to do. Not threaten to shut down the government
because you shut down the government
because you can't get your way.
The last time you shut it down, you got killed.
No one said we won't fund this wall. It was a sit down to try to figure out how little they could spend on the wall. We don't have legislators who are willing to say, you know what, a wall has nothing to do with border security other than a symbolic gesture. Pelosi's and the Schumers of the world want to be patted on the back for standing up to Trump, but at the end of the day, you know, they kind of have, you know, they try to play both sides and make sure that they don't lose those like pragmatic voters who really care about border security, as if our like worst terrorist threat isn't domestic white men with guns going into subway stations, churches, and movie theaters. And fundamentally, the idea of coming here for asylum because, you know, your state is in dire conditions, the first fucking step is to show up here, and then you apply for asylum. Number 3, AOC.
AOC. So we had a very stunning and amazing victory of another Democratic Socialist of America, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And as stunning as her victory was, the media and the Democratic elites chose to back the Crowley machine, completely ignored her candidacy, gave her very little press coverage except to smear her as a member of the Democratic Socialists.
God forbid.
Everyone was running around like a headless chicken, not knowing what that is. And so her victory was so much more important because of that.
And as a symbolic victory, I think it was important in a number of ways. And one of the ways is sort of inside baseball and structurally. The guy who she beat, Joe Crowley, had never really run a campaign before. All she did was run a campaign. She got on the streets, she went out in search of votes, in search of getting herself on the ballot, etc., etc. Joe Crowley had never done that. Joe Crowley grew up through a system that appoints people to replace other people who are there at the right place at the right time, who donate the right amount of money and show up to the right parties.
Absolutely. And they have policy grounding. That's the most important part. She ran on policy. And that is the new wave of young, progressive Democrats that we are seeing entering the fold now. And they deserve to be acknowledged and paid attention to very, very carefully.
And I just want to say real quickly, for all this talk that socialists want to just take all your money and spend all your money, I mean, personally, I do, but generally speaking, you have Joe Crowley in one column who raised $3.5 million and still managed to overspend on his campaign by $300,000. You have Ocasio-Cortez, who raised about $800,000 and came in $300,000 under the wire. So let me tell you something. Socialists are good with money. Let us balance your checkbooks. Give us the key to the castle. Shit's gonna be fine. You can go on vacation, baby. Number 2, the last death rattle of Joe Crowley in our House of Representatives. He worked his ass off to ensure that Hakeem Jeffries beat out progressive Barbara Lee for the Democratic caucus chair seat. And this was a huge symbolic victory. I think it was in the realm of about a dozen votes out of several hundred that Jeffries won by. And Barbara Lee was a progressive representative, and yet they pushed Hakeem Jeffries, who I'm sure you know has a really awesome record in Brooklyn.
I do know that he does take a lot of corporate money. He does not hide that whatsoever. And I think it's also very indicative of Pelosi's reign of terror, that everyone was terrified to run against her or to run for positions that she was against them getting, because there is a retribution that happens. And so they stick you in a corner in the back of the room and don't let you participate in a lot of these subcommittees if you're not good to the machine. And that trend is something that very, very much happened in this election cycle. We still have a long way to go to convince these people that we're here to make a difference. We're here to sit at the table and not to be put in the back of the room.
Number 1, how's your health? How's your health care? How's your health insurance?
Not too well, I should say.
Yeah, mine isn't either.
I need some Medicare for all.
Yeah, so that's why number 1 is the goddamn continually disappointing Chuck Schumer announcing just at the end of this year that he absolutely does not support Medicare for all. Whether it's the money he gets from pharmaceutical companies, whether it's investments in medical facilities, who knows what it is, but this guy does not want people to just have health care. This is a basic fucking human right of any civilized society, and I think we understand that. All the progressives who won in the blue wave this year won on something akin to a Medicare for all position. And so if we take that away, we basically have nothing. That's the only way we've differentiated ourselves from the Republican Party since the Clinton era. And so if we really truly want to have a stance and take a position, this is the best place to start. If they want to win, those white working class voters are so worried about winning in the Midwest as if they're ever going to come over. It's going to be through Medicare for all. People are saddled with medical bills. You know, people die early, die young. Our
the number one reason of bankruptcies.
Yeah, our life expectancy is fucking dropping in this country. It's dropping in this country. So if you don't support Medicare for all, in my opinion, you're nuts. Everyone should have health care. And Chuck Schumer, if you're watching this, because I know you follow me, cutie, Medicare for all. That's what we want. That's what the people want. That's the number 1 position right now. And if you don't run on that in 2020, also, all you presidential candidates also watching this, you're going to lose. That concludes our Democratic Party 2018 Hellfire Fails.
We're hoping that things will progress and change for the next year, but we also have our eyes open, so we'll be keeping track.
least one of us has some faith in the system.
Absolutely.
See you in 2019.